I don't know exactly how I'm going to approach this subject, but other than just jumping right into it. So I might peer over to the side looking at my notes to make sure that I don't leave anything out. But the subject today is hopefully briefly on capitalism, what it really is, and does it serve us? What is capitalism? Capitalism is basically having the ability to make money and everyone being equally able to do that, particularly in America. We say that this is a capitalistic country, meaning that it's really solely based on money. It's based on bottom line for everybody involved. So, how does this typically work? And does it benefit you and I, the average Joe, capitalism? Well, maybe part of it might be true if we were part of the machine in terms of those that was profiting from it, if we're in the upper echelon, so to speak. But there's a lot of us on the bottom. See, capitalism really feeds off of those who are on the bottom. The machine would not be as great as it is today if there was nobody to make the money for them or for us, those who are in position, I should say. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, consider myself as one of those individuals. Now, I am an entrepreneur, but I make it a point to try to always give back, give back to the community, give back to my fellow man because I understand from whence I have come. So, as far as the industrial evolution is concerned and evolving of this industry based country, I should say, and even world on a much larger scale. But let's take America for the most part. When we look at restaurant industry, do we really know the value or the quality of the restaurant industry? I'm just throwing something out there for you to think about. Do we know when you walk, for example, into a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Wendy's, a TGI Fridays, Chipotle, or what have you? Do we know for a fact that the utensils, the pottery, all of the equipment that they use to prepare our meal, do we know that it's sanitized? Do we know that? Now, I'm sure most of us have a reasonable amount of faith in the industry that they would never do anything to harm us. But let's get beyond the equipment and let's get to the food product itself. Do we know where it comes from? Do we know all of the ingredients that are being used in the preparing of this food? Do we know that when we go to purchase chicken at a Chinese restaurant, for example, that it's actually chicken? Do we actually know that? I personally uh, have probably had just about every type of food that you can have in a restaurant throughout my lifetime, fundamentally anyway. And I know what chicken looks like. I know the texture of it, and I know the taste of it. And I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone in particular, but I am saying this. I've had chicken, or what was supposed to be chicken, at Chinese restaurants on many occasions, and several different Chinese restaurants, and trust me, it's not chicken. And I'm sure that there are a lot of you out there that can probably attest to this, and there might be some of you that might even disagree with what I'm saying because you like the taste. It's easy to put what appears to be something that we have been accustomed to for most of our lives on the menu and then add a whole lot of spices and other embellishments and make it taste real good. And we can probably be deceived. Have you ever considered that? Now, that's the restaurant industry. Now, what about the automobile industry? Automobile industry has been around, I guess, since Mr. Ford was around and the Ford car came around, and then all of the other companies came around, Buick and Cadillac and so forth. And then we have what we have today in terms of the different automobile companies, as it were. But what I'm getting at as far as the automobile company is concerned is since we've been around, or they have been around for such a long, long time, can they not make tires that won't have a flat tire or go flat? I'm sure they really could. I remember the comedian Chris Rock making a statement in one of his stand-up bits some years ago Chris Rock said that you telling me that the car industry can't make a bumper that won't fall off. They actually can make a bumper that won't fall off. They can also make tires that won't go flat. And I'm sure you can use your imagination as far as all of the other things that can be done that will last actually a lifetime of the car as far as the ownership of you having it without you having to have it serviced. But you know what? There's no money in making things perfect. Because if you make it perfect, that means that you have lost potentially a customer. So they have to make it not so perfect. And it has become a science in virtually every industry. You make it not so perfect so that you always have a customer coming back to repair the vehicle or to replace a bolt, a lug, a wire, an air condition, a radiator system, exhaust system. They make it that way intentionally so that they will always perpetually have customers. And what does a customer equate to? Money, all of the time. So that means you will forever be a, what's that word we use outside of just customer? A, give me a second. Customer, um, it'll come to me in a minute. Well, anyway, consumer, that's the word. We will always be a consumer. No one wants to lose you as a customer because customers equal dollars and dollars equal wealth and wealth equals perpetual wealth. And the more money that you have coming in annually, daily, monthly, weekly, semi-annually, the further you can extend your, I guess you can say, legacy to your family. So basically, most people want to survive forever. They want to pass this on from generation to generation to generation, irrespective of what the type of business or the vocation is. They want to pass it on. So I just touched on the automobile industry. Yes, they can make perfect parts, but will they ever make a perfect part? No, because they want to keep you as a customer. And the same thing is true in the restaurant industry. They put chemicals in your food that are addicting. Of course, they love the sugars and they love the fats and they love the sweet and sour types of ingredients and in their array of dishes, as it were. And they know that human beings are addicted to sugar. And did you know that the scientific results over many studies have come to the conclusion that sugar is addictive as cocaine is? Yes, true statement. Sugar is as addictive as the drug cocaine. Now, if sugar is that addictive, I wonder why we have so many people obese in America, and not just America, but the world as well. Now, let's go a little bit further. The food industry itself. How do you capitalize on the food industry just in general when you go to the grocery store? We have the $3 $4 sale, or we have the buy one get one free sale. Now, let me ask you something in your heart of hearts. Do you honestly think anyone that has a corporation as big as Walmart or Kroger grocery chain or P&G or Cadillac or Buick, do you actually ever think that they're going to give you anything free? No. That is one of the oldest sales tactics in the world. Buy one, get one free. Buy two or three, get two or three free. Buy one, get the second one for half off. Do you really think that they're giving you a discount? It appears that way. Let me tell you something, my friends, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Please understand this. No one in capitalistic America, especially, is ever going to give you anything free. There's always a hitch. There's always something to it, as they say. Anyway, They are in business, and I've been in retail for most of my life. They're in business to make money, not to give anything away. Believe me, if you go to a grocery store and your canned goods have been reduced, you had better believe when you go to the meat department, they've raised the prices on the meat. Or in some other department, they've raised the prices so that it balances out. They're never going to lose. No one loses in commercialism, in capitalism. They just don't do that. It is not the rule. It is going against the plan. Okay? So now we kind of touched on the food industry, but let me add a little bit more to the food industry too while I'm on it. And I really didn't want to touch this part as far as the capitalism aspect is concerned, but please understand this. They have abused our animal friends on this planet. Yes, the agricultural industry, the farm industry, the government is included in that, of course. They are committing all kinds of heinous crimes against our animal population. Now, I've seen videos that are just as sad as the ones where you see the cats and the dogs that have been abandoned and abused by previous owners and left in their own defecation and so forth. And you see pictures of them on the television and people are telling you to adopt a pet. But did you not know that our poor cattle, our chickens, our lambs, and our horses are being slaughtered? Yes, for greed. They're giving all types of uh, antibiotics. They're giving all types of hormones to cattle to get them to grow faster, to chickens to get them to grow faster. And they're putting them on all kinds of conditions where they're crowded together, the chickens especially, where they're in their defecation, they have broken wings, uh, they are diseased, and they wash them all off. And the baby chicks, here I watched the video not too long ago, the baby chicks, you know, the female chicks are spared because they will eventually grow up to be a hen and then produce eggs. And the male chicks are thrown into a grinder. Yes, alive. A conveyor belt actually drops them off into a grinder. And you will see these people in this factory. They're separating the males from the females and they're spinning them by their legs and throwing them into the chute, and they go down into this grinder on the conveyor belt. It is just totally horrendous, and it's just not right at all. That's one of the things that they do to our chickens and our cattle. You would have to see the video for yourself. They have taken our cattle and they have struck them with hammers, crowbars in the head. They tied their heads to posts and they beat them for no apparent reason at all. Just abusive. This is humanity that is doing this to these animals. And once a cow, or a female cow that is no longer able to produce milk, they send her off or them off to be slaughtered. And then I'm sure you know where the food ends up at ends up in the cans, in your potted meat and a lot of the other byproducts that you find in some of the foods, your sauce meats and things like that in your grocery store. These are just the leftovers from animals that have been slaughtered that was no longer good for producing either meat that we're accustomed to, good meat I should say, and or dairy. It's very unfortunate. In other words, they don't want to waste any part of the animal, so the animal ends up somewhere on the consumer's table. It does indeed happen. And I will leave you a couple of URLs or links below so that you can view this behavior yourself and then you can be the judge of it. But I think I've said enough on that. They don't take care of this planet for the most part. They dump sewage into the oceans, into the rivers, and they just don't care about the planet. Anyway, let's switch to the insurance company just for a moment. The insurance company with paying premiums. I've witnessed and I have experienced, not only in my own life, but I've seen in other people's lives where insurance companies don't want to pay out on a a claim or a lawsuit from an accident in a car, automobile accident, if you will, they don't want to pay you any money. They want to know everything about you and your family history and so forth before they even open the checkbook. Now, if you're paying a premium monthly, whole life or whatever, and it takes you uh, knocking their door down and sleeping on the doorstep to get your just due, then something's wrong with the insurance company as well. So I'm not going to really go any further with that. I'm sure a lot of us who probably have had lawsuits before and insurance companies was involved, you know that the insurance company doesn't pay you just like that. It just doesn't work. It's always a whole lot of litigation. It's always a whole lot of red tape before you get your money. And oftentimes they try to wait you out. And if you get upset and you just decide that you don't want to pursue the case anymore, you just let it go. And they know that most people will do that. Very rarely will you find somebody who will wait 5 or 10 years to get a settlement through an insurance company. A lot of times they would just kind of write it off. They will just condescend, and that's not good at all. But these people, professionals at their criminology, so to speak. Anyway, let's touch the military industry. The military industry, is a multi-billion dollar industry. We make bombs all day. We make ordnance, as the military calls it, all day long. We are running war campaigns perpetually. The United States has been in a war, and I'm 54 years old as I'm speaking and making this video. The United States has been in a war all of my life. Ever since I have been living, there has been a war. Now, just because it's not in mainstream media every day, we have troops in over 165 countries on this planet. The United States is the only country that has troops posted in all of the major countries in the world. No other country has troops posted all over the world. Why is that? Question that in your mind, okay? Now, to fund that war or these war campaigns or these Cold War situations, depending on where we are on the planet, requires multiple billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars. A lot of times they won't even be transparent with us and tell us what it costs to run the military. They give us what I guess is an appetize, an appetizer for us, and say, well, maybe they'll buy that one. We'll give them an appetizer, so they'll accept that, and we won't tell them the full truth. We won't disclose that, but it's not right. You should be open with the people that you say that you represent. We, the people of the United States of America. Anyway, I'm going to leave the military industry. I'm sure, as you know, we in our Afghanistan and our Iraq, just Middle East in general situation, we have spent trillions of dollars over there in the past 20 to 30 years. We've been in Afghanistan, and we still are in there, and we were supposed to come out of Afghanistan, but we're still there. Okay. The prison industrial industry was another one. Prison industrial industry. Wow. First of all, let me say this, and I'm sure most people already know this, and if you're not black, you probably don't want to pay too much attention to this statistic, that over half the population of prisoners in the American prison industry are black. Yes, at least 50%, but it's really more than that. They're black. That's just a little can of worms being opened for those that have not thought about it in a while or either did not know. You can do your own due diligence and find that to be true. And did you not know that there's multiple billions of dollars being made every year or annually in the prison industrial complex system? Yes, there's money in it. And did you not know that these prison industrial complexes are not run by the government directly? They are run by private companies. Private company. It's like somebody said, hello, Yes, I'm about to build this prison here. I just want to make a contractual agreement with you. They're talking to the United States, Uncle Sam, and we're willing to follow all of the statutes and the ordinances as the United States so deems it so. Uh, but we're asking, X amount of dollars per head on the prisoners, and we'll pay you the taxes on the same thing. Okay? That's just a general way of disclosing that. Very, very general. I mean, I'm not a member of that industry, so I can't speak in the jargon, if you will, that they would, or the terminology or the vernacular that they would speak in prison terms. But I'm sure you got the point. In other words, private companies have a contract with the United States government. Okay, so every person that goes to prison will make X amount of dollars off of it, but we can charge them and we can charge you whatever we want to charge you because we are a private entity and we can make billions of dollars off of this industry. And so we can have all of these prisoners working for pennies. Yes, 30 something cents an hour. One thing I heard, $35 a month, something like that. Basically slave labor. It's free labor. Isn't that a form of slavery still? Mm. Well, someone might contend that, well, they are prisoners, so they shouldn't have those types of privileges, to make the same kind of money that people make outside of prison. That's something for you to think about as well. So I'm still talking about capitalism. I haven't strayed from that. And so, what about the legal industry, the court system, the so-called law? That's an industry too. Multiple billions of dollars annually off of you and I, the law industry. Hmm. Ever been driving down the street, down the highway, traveling? Actually, you're traveling down the road in your car. Excuse me, I apologize. Man, when it rains, it pours. Hold 1 second. I'm back. I apologize. I'm not superstitious, but it's funny. A lot of times when you're giving good information and it gets good to you and you get rolling really good, it just seems like a distraction of some sort seems to come to rise to the occasion. But anyway, I was talking about the legal system, so-called legal system. Uh, have you ever been traveling down the highway and you see a guy, a woman, off to the side of the road in a police vehicle, a sheriff's vehicle, a highway patrol vehicle with the radar, either holding it out the window or standing outside of their vehicle, pointing it towards the oncoming traffic. Now, ask yourself this question. Do you think that that law enforcement officer is really there to stop speeders so that the world would be a better place, so that they can keep everyone safe? Now, I've traveled some distances in my life over the highways, and I've perhaps seen within a 50 to 100 mile radius, uh, maybe 4 or 5 highway patrol cars or police cars, with the radar gun. Now, as many people that speed, and there's always going to be someone that speeds, you cannot avoid someone speeding on the highway. So, what does that tell you and I? As long as someone is speeding, there's money in it. So they created that industry. What industry? It is an industry, to make money off of the taxpayers, for breaking what's supposed to be what they call a law. So if you break the speed limit and you've got somebody out there monitoring you, and in some communities, in some municipalities, they have cameras, and they will scan your driver's license or your tags on your vehicle if you're speeding through a uh, municipality that has a school zone or what have you, and you are 5 or 10 miles above the speed limit, and that tag is associated with your registration, of course, and it has your address on it, and they send you a letter with a bill. Now, don't all raise your hand at the same time if you receive one of these for speeding through someone's little small community or what have you. Some municipality in your city, someone sent you a letter. They said, "Wow," and it has a picture of your vehicle on the camera. Huh? That's interesting. And this has only really been popular for maybe the past 10 or 15 years. And a lot of people have sued the local governments, as it were, or the cities or the counties, because they said a lot of times it was, I guess, predatory, and it wasn't. One more time. I apologize, and hopefully this is for the last time I'm going to apologize. That was not something by design. I did not set that situation up. I was not aware that there was a child's cell phone set to an alarm, supposedly, sitting over here in the corner. And I'm apologetic again. I'm sorry for that. But getting back to this last point I wanted to make about the so-called legal industry and you driving down the road and the officers standing there with um, the radar and jumping in their car once you've broken the so-called speed limit, and then they pull you over. In most cases, if you're 5 or 10 miles above the speed limit, or maybe 15 miles above the speed limit, they would give you a citation or a ticket, we call it. You know, and if you want to contest it, you go to court. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Most people are going to go ahead and they're going to pay the ticket within the 2 weeks maximum that you have. When it actually doubles after the first week, you're going to pay the ticket to avoid going to court. You're going to just pay it. You're just going to take it on the chin, as they say. So what has happened there? What happened is that the system just won. They won a short battle. And it wasn't really a battle because you didn't participate in it. You was really the victim, and you probably just don't know it. So how did they win? They got money out of your pocket. Hence, capitalism. Again, hello. Now, if you exceed a certain speed limit and you're driving ridiculously fast, let's say the speed limit is 60, 65, and you're driving 90 or 95, you might go to jail in some counties, some cities, but you're really going to pay a more hefty fine than you would have driving 10 or 15 miles over the speed limit. So that fine could be up into several hundreds of dollars or even $1,000. And God forbid you take a breathalyzer or a sobriety test and you have been drinking anything at all, if they were to administer that. And if that was the case, you're going to pay even more. And your license could possibly be suspended if you're perhaps a first time offender. You know, they love the money. If you pay the fee or the fine, you can drive on your merry way. Oh, of course, if you were to, God forbid, kill a pedestrian or another driver, especially a pregnant woman or a child in the vehicle, they tend to be a little bit more harsh on you than normal. But there's money in that as well. So you have to pay the uttermost falling if you kill someone. So now you have to go and hire a lawyer. Guess what you're going to have to do with the lawyer? In most cases, you're going to have to pay the lawyer. So if you have a decent paying job, you're going to be coming out of your pocket quite substantially. If you don't have very much and you're a pauper, so to speak, you're going to have to get a public defender. But guess what? You're going to get something. You're going to get some jail time, or you're going to get a combination of jail time and a hefty monetary fee as well. All because of good old capitalism. Capitalism. Everybody has to make money. And have you ever gone to court? If anyone out there has ever gone to court, not for someone else, but you probably have witnesses as it relates to someone else. But have you ever gone to court for yourself where you were the defendant and not paid anything? There's a court cost. I've always wondered what the court cost was for. Just because. Just because I showed up. Even if they find you, oftentimes, depending on the severity of the crime, so-called crime, or if it's a very, very minor crime, they might say, well, just pay the court cost. So my point is, you're paying something. Very, very, very rarely will you ever go to court and not pay something. You know, people have won lawsuits if you had a good legal team, like O.J. Simpson did, for example. But you know what? He paid the lawyers. So that still went into the system, thanks to good old capitalism. And he ended up paying the court system as well. And not to mention the family of the deceased. God rest their souls. On a serious note, I believe he did it. Or he was aware of who did it, and he just didn't tell. So we'll leave that for maybe a later video. But anyway, you're paying something in the legal system. So have you ever parked at a meter? And I'm sure we have all been guilty of this. You parked at a meter and you rush into the grocery store just to get some milk and some eggs, and you think you're going to be right out, so you don't put any money in the meter. It could be a convenience store, more realistically, because most grocery stores have their own lot. But I'm talking about off the street where there's a parking meter in that scenario there. You ever gone into the convenience store, just to get some milk and maybe a pack of cigarettes and some eggs, candy bar, sanitary products, ice cream, UDF, whatever, and you didn't put any money in the meter, only to come out and find out that you've been ticketed? Now, I've seen people respond all kinds of ways with a ticket. Oh man, I was only in there 3 minutes. But you know what? It only takes a couple seconds to write a ticket. To good old Mr. Police Officer driving down the road, or parking enforcement agent. So it's about money. Let me tell you something that I know to be true. Now, it's interesting when you are in the know versus being out of the know. You see, when I had my business in one community for over a decade, I was privy to a little information through the law enforcement channels, as it were. And I have friends to this day that are police officers that I love dearly. I have a couple that have retired from the police department already, and I have some that are currently police officers. And I've heard other police officers in time past say that they don't have a quota. Quota means tickets. Oh, we don't have a quota. Now, why is it that a police officer would tell a citizen that they don't have a quota when a citizen was to query them? Say, sir, do y'all have a quota on tickets? Oh, no, we don't have a quota. Why would they tell a citizen that and it's not the truth? This is a person that we're supposed to be looking up to. This is the person that's supposed to protect and serve. Is that right? Is there a secret behind that? I wonder. Well, anyway, this is what I know to be true. I've known parking enforcement officers as well. especially in front of my business. And this one particular parking enforcement agent, and it's a couple of them actually, but this one particular one gave me the skinny, so to speak. And she said, we have to write so many tickets per month. And it has everything to do with whether or not we would be promoted or even kept on the job. She said, police officers are the same. And a police officer friend has told me the same thing. They have to write so many sitting violations, parking, if you will. And they have to write so many traffic violations, moving vehicles. They have to write so many of each and per month. And they vary, from, I guess, county to county, the amount. But they have to write those citations, every one of them. And I know a police officer who is now retired, but he had the record for the most citations in the district that he worked in. He told me this himself. Now, this has everything to do with your potential promotion to sergeant, corporal, lieutenant, or whatever the case is, versus you walking the beat or sitting at a desk, perhaps. So, why are they so adamant about you writing citations? What is a citation? It's a bill. I'll let you wrap your brain around this after you watch the video. Maybe you want to watch it a second time and hear me say it again. A citation is a bill. They have given you a bill that they want you to pay. So it's akin to going to a restaurant and you sit down and you say, well, I would like your spaghetti and meatballs and some green beans on the side. And may I have a dinner roll and a glass of iced tea? So I just gave them my request, my order. Okay, so I wait. Once I receive my product, my meal, finish consuming it, I'm ready to go. They hand me a bill. This is what it cost you. And then you pay the bill. The legal system is the same way. The so-called law system is the same way. So when you commit a so-called crime, then they give you a bill for the crime that you've committed. But you don't just immediately go to jail for committing a crime or an infraction or breaking a law or a rule, so to speak, or an ordinance or a statute. Well, you can offset your jail time, sir or ma'am, if you just pay this. So is that not capitalism? Yeah, I think it's capitalism. That's what it is. So once you come out and the meter is expired, you see the ticket, which is really a bill. You look at it. Now you can contest the amount, or you can attest the fact that you have to pay that at all. So you have to go to the management. The management is the judge, the court system. So you have to go there and explain to him why you shouldn't have to pay the bill. If you have a good enough answer as to why you shouldn't have to pay that bill, he might just dismiss it. Then you can go about your merry way. But don't forget, he's the referee. He is the head cashier of the business. Everybody else is working for him. So he's the one who's the enforcer of you paying the bill. So when you appear before him, you can feel mighty uncomfortable in that seat. Standing before this person, you're standing before power now. Now, if it were I, and I know that it was not a justifiable ticket, as it were, I would contest it if I had the time to go down there and do that. I would do that, because who wants to give their hard-earned money to someone or to a system that's not treating them fairly, if that be the case? But understand this, that the whole system is predicated on making money from you and I, Joe Citizen, Jane Citizen. That's the whole purpose behind the industry, is to make money from you. They make millions of dollars in many counties per month on just parking tickets, on speeding tickets, millions of dollars. That goes into their general fund. Millions of dollars writing tickets all over the county and wherever USA you might find yourself. They're making millions off of you and I writing tickets. When somebody says, well, you should put money in the meter, you know what? You actually should put money in the meter. And the reason you should put money in the meter is simple. If you know the system that you live under, and you know that there are ramifications if you break certain rules, why put yourself in that situation in the first place? So, at the very least, you have to come out of your pocket a quarter or 50 cents into the meter to go into the business establishment or wherever you're going, and then come back out and go about your merry way. At the very least, 25 cents to 50 cents in most places. Maybe no more than $1 or $2 if you're at an event such as a concert, or movie premiere or something like that. Maybe no more than $2 in a meter for about an hour and a half to two. Is it really worth not putting that little change in that meter and coming out and have to spend a cell phone bill? Something you would have spent on your telephone bill or part of your utilities. Is it really worth that? And what is really ridiculous to me on the flip side, as far as the system is concerned, is that they will take away your driving privileges for not paying a citation. Can you say capitalism with a big C again? Capitalism. They will even tow your vehicle. And many of you probably have experienced this or know someone who has. They will tow your automobile if you accumulate 3 or 4 traffic violations that you have not paid the ticket. Can you say capitalism with a big C again? They will even take your vehicle to a private, contracted out tow system, and they have them on speed dial. They'll come and pick your vehicle up. They'll take it to the towing company, and you have to pay for the tow, which is usually over $100. And then you will have to pay for them storing your vehicle there daily. You pay for that. Plus, you have to make sure that you pay all of the tickets that you are in the arrears on before you can even get it out of the tow company. Can you say capitalism with a big C again? So the state government wins, the county government wins, the city wins against us, the citizen. Now, is that fair in this place that we call America, that's supposed to be the country that we love? Do you treat your citizens like this all because of $1? It's not because you did anything really wrong. So why can't it just simply be this person got a ticket, they didn't pay it? Okay. They got a second ticket, they didn't pay it. Why can't it just simply be, we will add this to your credit report like they do everything else? We'll mess your credit up a little bit. Why does it have to be the public humiliation of them taking your vehicle, something that you pay on monthly, and then you have to come out of pocket $200, $300, $400 for the whole thing, up to $1,000. I have experienced this myself. I had a tenant in the building that lived above my business. They were pregnant. ready to drop the load any day. Parking enforcement came. The meter was expired in front of the building. They wrote her a ticket. Come to find out, she owed several tickets in the arrears. So they called the tow truck to come pick her vehicle up. She was notified that they were towing her vehicle. She came out and she pleaded with them not to take her vehicle and that she was pregnant. It was very obvious that she was expecting. And I mean, she was expecting. The baby was out there. And they had no sympathy. They said, well, here's the phone number to downtown. You can make arrangements to make this payment, and then you can go get your baby. Not your baby, but you can go and get your vehicle. So if she had just run across the street and paid for it, which was probably 3 blocks from where our residence and business were, they would have just released the vehicle to her right then and there. Once they made a phone call, there was just a little bit of sympathy in there, but not too much. But that was not the case that particular day. They went on and towed her vehicle. And, about 4 days, 5 days later, she got her vehicle back. But she got her vehicle back to the tune of about $2,000. Go figure. Now, she had to pay the city the $2,000, but she had to pay the toll and the time that they had it on their lot as well. Capitalism. Can you say it again? Capitalism. That's it. So I just wanted to give you some things to think about. Brother Teacher has just been ranting on. I was thrown off a little bit in this video because of the untimely alarms going off, and I really apologize to all of you all once again for that. But I want you to get the gist of this, and the gist is simply this. The world is like this, of course. It's like this all over the world, capitalism. But I'm speaking and focusing mainly on the United States of America. We care, not myself inclusive. I'm only saying that we as a body, as a collective in the United States, our country is based on capitalism. It's not based on spirituality. It's not based on Christianity. There are components of spirituality and Christianity and Muslim belief and various other religious beliefs in this country. There are pockets of beliefs, but that is not what our country is based on. That's why they have a separation of church and state. The government doesn't want to be run by a religious factor, so to speak. So they leave that out of it. So basically, mankind is just doing what mankind pleases, on this planet. Now, specifically in the United States of America, it's all about the dollar. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants the cream on top of the latte. They want the cream. They don't want anything on the bottom. They don't care if they step on us, the citizens, or the people. They don't care if they crush you. They don't care if they drain you of every penny that you have ever made. They don't care if you become homeless because you're paying for child support. They don't care anything about us, the people. All they care about is that almighty dollar. That is how industry is. And if you don't pay them on time or don't pay them at all, what they do, they mess up your credit. You fall below 700 to 600 to 500 to the 400s to the 300s. You have no ability to apply for a loan because of your credit. You have no ability to get a home, your first home, second home, whatever the case is. You have no ability to get your first brand new automobile or anything else for that matter, because the government will see about you. And what I mean by see about you is really obvious now. What I'm saying to you, I hope it would be, they will see about you. They will make very sure that they decimate your life so that they can get paid. And once you have given all that you can, then it's pretty much time to call it quits for the rest of your life. It's pretty much time to die. And before you die, you have to pay again. Most funeral companies, I've noticed over the years, funerals used to cost up to $10,000 to bury a person, then $7,000 to bury a person. Only in recent years, and within the past 10 years, I should say, those costs have come down. But thank God for the internet. A lot of people have found out, you know, the truth about a lot of industries via the internet, and a lot of companies had to come out. They won't disclose to you openly that they've been cheating you all along. What does it take to put a human being in the ground? So people who can't afford a traditional funeral, as it were, they end up vying for cremation, which is the cheaper of the two. Now, as I pointed out a minute ago, funerals were well up into several thousands of dollars. Now you can get a regular funeral now at some funeral organizations or homes for as low as $2,000. That's really not bad when you consider the legal things that they have to do, the fact that they have to host your body at their facility, provide a limousine and a hearse to carry the casket, and supply the casket, of course, and take you to the funeral uh, plot area, if you will, to the graveyard, and then place you in the ground and cover you up. The labor for that. So $2,000 is, I would say, reasonable. You could probably be cremated for about $1,000 in a lot of places, but it's just it's interesting to me how we will always be paying money for everything. I'm not griping. I already understand the animal or the beast, and the way it operates, and I hope that you do. So take these words. I've ranted on for a while. I hope it was of some value to you. Maybe just some things for you to consider, and maybe some encouragement of how to navigate forward in your life and things not to do, or to think more carefully about other things. But if you have anything, any comments about this, I would hope that they would be in a positive frame of mind or nature. Or even if you have something that you don't like about this video, I would love to hear those comments as well. But please, my friends, please be as tasteful as you possibly can. And there are always going to be those people, some folks call them trolls. They have to find something negative about what you say, just because they like finding something negative to say. It's really easy to dismiss those individuals just by clicking the button, and as one of my viewers said, poof, and you're gone. But anyway, again, this is Brother Teacher Reginald. I love you again, and the Almighty Yahweh loves you as well. And I will see you in the next video. Be blessed.